Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm going to start a new kind of series thing, which I'm going to call it like a Zorga Academy. For now, I think this will be the name. And the purpose of having this series is that I will go through some of the like current meta decks when I'm recording these videos, so that you know about specific decks, what they are good at, and as a Zorga player, what you can do to kind of increase your win rate. Because with those meta decks, they become a meta, of course, for a reason, and people choose them instead of other decks also for some reasons. So even that, if you're like me, who just love to play with the deck that you want to play, you always will find something that helps you increase your win rate. Even though it might not always bring you victory, it will not completely flip the whole meta table around, because again, they are here for a reason. But then if we can increase our win rate, that means we have a higher chance to actually go to the top, right? Because for example, in the Nagoya WGP Deluxe in Japan, the top 32, there are more than half are Basagra, and then at least there's one Zorga with aggro build actually get in. But there means Zorga has the possibility, if you play it right, if you know what you're doing, if you know what your opponent is doing, you have a chance. But what I'm going to focus on here is not the aggro part. If you want me to also cover a like aggro build or Zorga or the mindset, feel free to comment down below, let me know. Then I can also work on that part for you guys as well. But my focus here will more be on the defensive build on Zorga. So how you can like your mindset should be when facing specific decks, the meta decks, and what some of the cards that you can consider when building your deck. Yeah, basically from there, you can also check my previous builds on Zorga to get like some of the basics, because I'm still evolving my deck. So past deck builds will more be like a steps to that point, and then you can adapt your own strategy in there with some of the cards that I would suggest you to use against specific decks. Then you can just group them together and see what you can work out on, right? So this is kind of the purpose of the series. I will be going through one deck at a time per video, so you won't be seeing multiple decks in one specific video, so that it won't be too much for you to digest. And some people might interest in this, some people might interest in facing against the other one, so you can actually pick whatever you think fit. Yeah, so the deck that I am going to cover today is Bavsagra. So Basaga has been topping a lot since release with the new upgrades. She's good, she draws you a lot of cards, she's also expensive to build because of Cindy. Of course, you can go for a no Cindy build, but then you probably will also be looking for Shenri, which is also still costing you quite a bit depending on where you're at. So this is not a easy deck to build with money. So if you are already like in D for quite a while and you're just basically grabbing every single Dragon Empire card, then it will be easier for you because you're not fighting against the inflation. But the deck is not only good and people pick her because of waifu, but also because of how well the deck now is constructed, with the support, with what you can do, with the pressure that you can apply. So now let's talk about what's good about Basagra. You do have a lot of cards that helps you to find your arms, your equipments through the right line. You can grab your pieces, which mainly is sword, and the shield, which is right here. Yeah, so this is your basic pair to grab through the right line, which the sword allows you to pump your front row and also increase your drive, and the shield gives you draw when you equip it, and it gives you extra shield value when you're willing to do the soul pass for it, which with the inclusion of Cindy, you will have a lot of souls to work with, so that actually helps. And more importantly, Bavsagra has a skill that retire her opponent's front row units, and if they cannot retire anything, they get a draw card, which is a very strong skill when you face opponent stacks that basically will always clean up the board. That will also stop them from doing everything completely, so that they leave something out without the draw. But this is also important for you to consider to look at your board, because if you don't have anything, you will give them basically an extra draw, and that can be the defensive power, they can be the combo pieces that can be scary. And what other things that they are good at is they do have a regard restander, so they can do more than 3 attacks now, and it's very scary for that. And this card is also their draw power, so that they can drop a equipment to draw 2, which is great, and also pumping 5k for the turn, which again is another good thing to have. Plus this is already plus 10k, so a simple plus 5k buff is not good enough. And also you should not forget the combination of the Trick Moon and the Faroid. The Trick Moon is a very big boost, but the Faroid is something that pumps the whole front row, which in the past we will be only have a chance to put one of them on the board, but with the upgrade Basaga skill, you can simply build up 3 of them, and that can be a very scary turn, because it will be plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, and then attack, and then you restand, and those plus 10s will still be carrying over. And that, with the multiple attack, is what makes the stack very strong and scary. Also, if they do actually have 2 sides, they can do 5 attacks, and you will attack with boost with the Faroid first and do the plus 10, plus 10, go in plus 10, withstand the 2, so there's a total of plus 35k with the sword and the Faroids, and that can actually ask for a lot of shield value that you have to drop against Bavsagra if you not control their resources very well. You will give them this kind of full combo, which is what they would prefer to have a setup on and trying to finish it off. Especially if they even have the person right as well, that will be 10, 10, 10, 10, and 5. So that's a plus 45k swings to you that can be very scary. Even though the first 2 attack will be plus 20, plus 25, plus 35, might be still okay, but then when they plus another 10 here, it will be very tough to guard for. So this is something that you need to be very careful, and they can also pop your back row regard. They can also do guard restrictions with 2 cards together from hand to make sure you feel very hard to guard. So that's basically their strategy and some of the cards that will actually makes you feel bad. They will probably include a train cast for a little bit of defensive value. They do have like reborns as well, but it's not that kind of powerful without the Faroid. Also, do remember the Faroids do have a skill that it cannot be selected by opponent card effects, so you cannot basically retire them through your skills. So what you can move is basically the front row, and they will be the targets that you need to be taken care of. Right. Okay, so what you should be taking note when you are facing Basagra is your opponent. A few things. One, make sure you crush their withstander whenever you can. Since you're gonna retire them, you cannot retire the thyroid, so these will be your targets to mainly crush, and you crush 4 of them, they can only do 3 attacks unless they pull the Dragon Empire OT. So make sure you get rid of these cards or manage the counterblast cost. Don't give them like basically more than 1 counterblast to use, so that they can just do 1, withstand 1, and that's it, right? And they might already set this up, so if once they do it, if they need to do a counter charge with a trick moon, they need to call over or use the skill then call over to do that, because it needs to come up from the drop to the center line, so it's basically needs to be through Basaga skill on top, but they probably will not do that unless they're desperate, because the +10 to the front row is way more important. So if you limit the counterblast cost, it will be very effective to them if they really need to call over to do their full combos. At least you are wasting 1 of the thyroid, which is still a good thing to go for. And another thing is to try to like this is where you add this, then you might consider actually crush these ones first if their hand size is not very big, so that they don't have enough resources. But if they do have quite a few hands, you might consider to put them to 4 and then use the 2 crit attacks to keep forcing them to give you guard, which again is very important. Another thing to care about is, because with the grade 2 that you will be like giving them a chance to counterblast 1 to get 2 of the equipments, so that one of them will, well, both of them will get to drop zone, but they will get to equip one of them from the drop zone, right? So if you really not having a very good hand, you might consider not even giving them a single damage, not even a single one, not even this. Give them nothing, so that when they ride, they can't use this skill, and they need to kind of get the equipment normally, except with the Vanguard skill, that still is going to cost them resources and leaving the arms inside the deck still. This is one strategy, but most of the time, if your hand is okay, you probably will still want to aim for like a 3 damage or even 4, so that they will need to drop a lot of cards from hand to guard all of your attacks, and because you're a Zorga, you will be getting bigger and bigger, so they will need to give you more cards, and that way you can kind of control the tempo, not giving them enough resources to do what they want. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's all I need to cover through the Bavsagra deck. If you have any other questions relating to Bavsagra and what Zorga should do, you can let me know in the comments down below. But now let's talk about what we as a Zorga player can consider using. Now first, on the regular piece, we probably will be choosing the Forbido or the Caliburn. It's more of your personal preference. If you're playing some other grade 3 units, for example Prison Dragon, for example this lady that allows you to soul charge, and then if you actually soul charge a trigger unit, you can actually grab a Blizzard or order card from the drop zone. which is great. Or the little coke right here that allows you to recycle your place sorter, which is basically this, right? This is your biggest shield in the game, so the more orders you have, the stronger shield it can be, and it gives you a draw card, but you do need to take care about your soul. So this is a very good combo. This is more kind of a random, but at least you have a chance to refill your soul, to use this, to use your divine skill, to use your shadow cloak, which can simply be bring up by this, because this one is only on attack, so it doesn't really matter, but the cloak requires you to be called from a drop zone, but you still need to drag it out from their deck anyway. So 4-wheeler can be a good option. Or if you are not like running any of these, where you just want a big hand size, then you go for the Caliburn, right? So that is something that you can consider first with the regular piece in your deck, because you can only use one of them. That's basically a very quick decision that you can actually go for. Other things that you can consider, of course, this one you need to have 2 of them in your deck so that you can just use the big shield, and even if you can't recycle, you can still have a chance to meet another one. What I sometimes do is to use the Shadow Dream Blade as well for the defensive, but if you really prefer a more comfortable energy control, then don't even consider it. Just focus on using this and you will be fine still. I just want some early big shield value, so I'm using this, but I might make some changes later as well, depending on how well the upgrades are. Because of this, I have a lot more chance to actually use this card, and what I need to control is the soul, so that is something that is helping me very much. And what other thing that you need to care about is to make sure you fully utilize your Karma. Not only that as a 2-crit attacker, not only as a big beater with the Energy Blast 4, but more importantly as a unit that can be reborn every single turn, because Basagra will be retiring your front row, and if they cannot retire anything, they will draw a card. So make sure you leave one of the Karma there for them to pop, so that they cannot enjoy the extra draw. If you put your defense skill put on the other side, make sure you always leave a Karma on the board, then you will be very, very safe. At least they are not drawing extra cards. That means they are having more troubles, because even you try to keep something at the back, it doesn't count anyway, and they can use the equipment to pop those cards. So make sure you leave something in the front row, very important. It can really cost you games. Next, the use of PG. I would suggest you to always PG the Vanguard attack, because it's something that can just flip the table too much, and it's the most unknown situation where you will be facing. Because if you don't PG and you go for a 2-pass, first it can be 2-pass because they're doing free drives. If you're doing a 3-pass, they can still 3-pass it. Even if you go for a 4-pass, which is basically a OT pass, if they pull a Dragon Empire OT, that's still over for you. So then why not just PG the Vanguard one and then start calculating the numbers. If they pull OT somewhere else, then you drop another PG, because Zorga is very good at recycling your PGs with Shadow Cloak. Then make sure you fully utilize this advantage of your deck. They can recycle OT, you can recycle personal, you can recycle PG, but put more focus towards finding the PG with cards like the Mystic Habitat, and to draw that you have, and then use it, recycle, use it, recycle, use it, recycle. That's the longer you drag the game, you probably have a chance to win still, because they draw so much cards, they drive check so many cards, they will be running out of cards in their deck. And not like us, they only have 4 PG chances. If any of them go to the damage, it's gone. And their triggers are also limited. We have basically unlimited resources as long as we can use Shadow Cloak to bounce them back to our hand. So make sure you save the PG for the Vanguard and then start calculating the other stuff. Consider using this order so that you can actually pop something, which will basically be the front row of theirs, which is basically this. Make sure you pop those cards. And also when you use these cards, make sure, because you are retiring one of your regards, make sure you don't retire all of your front row, or retire one and then divine skill the other one and make them go away. This allows your opponents to draw a card. Do be careful about that. That is something that you absolutely do not want to see. And fronts, I will be using and trying to get fronts because it's more defensive for yourself. The shield value is higher. Make sure you use the draw as well, but do take care of your counter blast. Game drive is also important, something that you will always try to go in to hunt your opponent's life. When they are at 3 or even 4 damage, make sure you have a chance to win right there. You can consider using Prison Dragon for the early rush if you want to. If you are going for a defensive build, you probably will be using like 1 or 0, depending. If you want to add in a little bit of aggro element in your defensive build, or you actually just willing to wait and give your opponents bit by bit, both works. But I do want a little bit of the aggro element in here, so I'm putting it here. But even if you're not using Prison Dragon, I think it's still fine, depending, as long as you kind of control yourself, not giving your opponents too much resources. That's still going to give you victory. That's what I think. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's probably some consideration that you can do for OT. I would still suggest you to go for the Stoichia OT instead of like the Dark OT, even though I personally do like the Dark OT so much, but I do think Stoichia OT allows you to have more crits in your deck. It's still applying way much more pressure because your regards will be at 2 crit as long as your opponent is grade 3 or when you are Alchemy Magic with the Prison Dragon appearing. So a 3 crit attack will always drop your opponent's cards down, because you will likely be pushing them to 3 damage, and that allows your Vanguard to actually attack on their withstanders as well. So this is also one strategy that you can consider. So even though I do like the Dark OT much, but I do want to see a chance to actually go in and win games, and crit is usually what the correct answer for Zorga. Some people even try to like 8 fronts and just want to pump the front row, but more importantly is if your Vanguard is not going to get any crit, it's still going to be the gap for your opponents to take rest, which is completely different to Bavsagra, because Basaga always gain the crit, so that when they go in they will be causing you a lot of trouble, but Zorga is not. So even when you're gaining drive, when you're not gaining drive, you want your Vanguard attacks to still be a very threatening attack that your opponents still need to drop cards to guard. If they go for a no guard hoping for you not having a crit, that's another story. Compared to they know you don't have enough crit so they can safely take the hit, is a completely different level, because they are still kind of scary that you actually still have the chance to pull the crit and win you the game when they're at 4. So having more crits in the deck is very important. So this will, depending on how many training gift run you run, 3 to 4 both works. But if you want to apply the crit strategy, then you will be using 8 crit plus the Stoic OT for a total of 9 cards, 9 triggers. That gives you the crit power to actually threaten your opponent so much. Yeah. So I think the rest of the deck, you can just check through my previous deck profiles. I will be upgrading one later, but I think I want to go through a few different meta decks into the series first, and then I'm upgrading the deck in the way through testing and see which strategy that actually fits in more against different meta decks. Do make sure this one is mainly some ideas focusing on Bavsagra, so it might not work against every single deck. Some of the ideas I think you can still apply, and through other part of the series, when I go through other decks, you might be seeing some similar strategy or even the same idea. Yeah, some of them I think is common, but it's more focusing on the top tier decks, that if you are going to face at least 50 to 80%, you will be seeing a specific deck, then I think you can look into different parts of the series to find out those decks and consider the cards to put in that increase your win rate. Again, this is not going to help you flip the whole table around, because if it is possible, instead of seeing a whole bunch of Basaga, you will be seeing a whole bunch of Zorga. That you need to be keep in mind. But that doesn't mean Zorga cannot fight at all. It's about how you apply your strategy, how you play against your opponent's strategy, how you stop your opponents to doing a lot of things that they want to do, and building up what you can do. And from there, from here and there, a little bit of luck, trigger luck, defensive luck, or draw luck, any kind of thing that involved in the game can slightly change the result, and sometimes it can bring you victory. If someone can go into top 32 with Zorga, you can too. It's just about the practice, about knowing your opponent, knowing what you can do is the key for you to grab victory. Yeah, so I think that's it for this first episode against Bavsagra. Next one, I think I will be doing leverage draws, but if you also have other specific decks that you think is meta that you want me to look into it, that might already be in my like schedulings in the future, but more ideas is always welcome, and do let me know your thoughts on this kind of video is actually helping you or not. Also, for example, you can also share me other cards that you think will be good against Basaga that can consider actually putting in the deck. Welcome any thoughts, and I will be discussing in the comments down below. Do let me know. Of course, subscribe for more of the series, for unboxing, deck fights, deck profiles, everything will be coming up. So yeah, sorry that my voice is still a little bit strange because I'm still kind of recovering, but I think I need to start putting this up and start rolling it to get more ideas from people, to also look into the Zorga deck while I'm doing this series. No, because there's a lot of decks that I actually own as well. For example, Basaga, leverage draws, and any other thing that I might own that can be helpful for me to explain as 2 points where I am a Basaga player, at the same time I'm Zorga player, so how I can use the knowledge from both sides to actually consider cards that help me wins against meta decks, and hopefully this can bring more people to actually use Zorga and consider using Zorga and also hopefully this will help myself to actually win more games against these decks. Yeah, so I think that's it for this video. Again, let me know any feedback in the comments down below, any questions. Yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.